Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints, here with my final draft ahead of Matchday 1 for UCL Fantasy 25-26. As always, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. New for the 25-26 season, I've got a WhatsApp broadcast channel. Feel free to join on the link below. And also, if you want to buy me a coffee, a link of that is in the description below as well. So I'll do a quick check-in with what my penultimate draft looked like, and I'll go straight into the changes that I want to make before the deadline. So yeah, first and foremost, there is going to be quite a fair bit of change that we're going to basically do to this team. I think I was being a bit too optimistic with Palhinha and Reinders basically popping up the midfield. Dembele is now red flagged. Also in defence, I think Alexander-Arnold could be an X-Men's issue, and I can tweak that defence a fair bit as well. So let's get straight into tinkering with this draft as I finalise it. And in terms of what I'll be doing, I'm going to be heavily focused on that first match day 1 in particular, and I can wildcard relatively early as and when required. So yeah, Dembele I'm going to get rid of. Isak, because he's not started and fitness issues, I'm not going to basically pick him. With Vinicius Jr., I will pick him, but I'll probably get some more rounded cover. I think Elise I'm content with right now. With Reinders and Palhinha, just not convinced at the moment. And then I noticed that Yamal has been flagged. Not sure what is the nature of his potential injury, but I'll get rid of him as well, just for the sake of having a healthy set of midfielders. And then, yeah, Alexander-Arnold, think don't want a player who possesses attacking prowess but isn't getting like a healthy number of minutes. I'll also remove Pedro Porro as well, as I feel I can get some better reinforcements there. And with the Sporting defender Fresneda, I think he is an X-Men's issue, so I'll get rid of him as well. And then on to the goalkeepers, I will get rid of Chevalier because the PSG fixtures are a bit difficult, but I will get some sort of PSG defensive cover regardless. And then Trubin, I'll probably keep hold of him. So we'll see what I can do on that front. So I want to come on to my forwards first of all. So Pavlidis bought him for that initial fixture. And the next player that I'm going to be putting alongside him is also fixture inclined as well. And I'm pretty certain he isn't actually owned by a lot of players in UCL Fantasy at the time of recording. So I'm going to just put some filters in place, and perhaps he could be the next Gyökeres, who knows. So just going to sort it by percentage. There he is, only owned by 4%, and he's only £5 million. It's Luis Suarez, and no, it's not the Luis Suarez of formerly of Liverpool and of Uruguay. This is Luis Suarez of Sporting, and with him, he's got some proven ability with his goals, and he also plays for the Colombia national team as well. Just basically got him in for that first fixture, and if it all goes wrong, then yeah, by all means, I'll get rid of him accordingly. Either he'll be the next Gyökeres, or he'll basically fail me. And if he fails in that first hurdle, well, then there'll be a fair bit that he'd have to justify having that place for the match days ahead. Now, the other player that I can basically facilitate as a result of getting in Suarez and Pavlidis, and this is quite unusual for me. I like to have heavy hitters up top, like the Kanes, the Haalands, etc. But I've gone quite cheap with two of the strikers up top. But the other player I've got in mind, and I'm no doubt will be one of the highest owned players, there he is, Mbappe. I think it would be crazy not to own him. And then, yeah, with Kane and Haaland, I think fixtures could be an issue potentially, but I do like Pavlidis and Luis Suarez for the time being in my team. So I'm content with those picks for the time being, and having them lets me unlock funds elsewhere. So onto the midfield now. So a fair bit of chopping and changing is taking place here. And I'm going to sort this by percentage just to see if the player that I have in mind is highly earned, and I've got a feeling he might be. So if it came to form, I would pick Haaland over Mohamed Salah, but there aren't that many players really that I could pick as a premium midfield. But let's get Rafinha in first of all. He basically is the go-to pick if your Mal is an injury issue. And just going further down on percentage, won't be getting Pedri in or Vitinha or Yao Neves. I'm surprised they're very highly owned. Perhaps I'm missing a trick there. As mentioned, I'll get Mohamed Salah in purely because I've got the funds for it. And yeah, he's not been really great in the Premier League. Seems to be getting these fluke penalties every now and then. But I feel that first match day, and with him in particular, he's got the prowess. So let's stick with him for now. There aren't that many 9-point, 10-point midfielders that I would go for as a default. So I'm happy to have him as a placeholder of sorts for now. So just going further down, see Reinders has got 13% ownership. So the other player I've got in mind, actually, you could say in some ways could be considered similar to Reinders or be a bit more defensively inclined. But he's actually scored a couple of goals in the Premier League as well, if I can find him here. Doesn't seem to be on here. So let's go all the way to his club now. So gonna go to his club, Chelsea. There we go. Apply the filters and let's have a look. Only 3% owned. Yeah, Caicedo, I feel that no doubt he could definitely chip in with ball recoveries in FPL. He's been doing really well with defensive contributions. In some ways, is he a placeholder for another player? Is there another player I could get at 6.0 million? I've had a think about it, and I feel that there aren't that many players who can offer what he does, and it's more for the defensive side that I've got him in. In terms of attacking players at £6 million, and just sort it by the most popular ones. Yeah, Arda Güler could have been an option, but then I've got Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, and I want defensive Real Madrid cover as well, so I won't be getting him in, but I think he is definitely a good shout at 6 million. And then, yeah, just going further down, they get a bit more obscure, although to be fair, Pedro Gonçalves of Sporting could be an option potentially, because I know last season when I had Gyökeres, I also had him briefly as well in my UCL Fantasy team. But let's just have a look at Gonçalves of Sporting. 4 goals in 5 games this season. And yeah, could be an option if I can make it work. And obviously it's that generous fixture as well. So let's see if I can make it work. So Caicedo out. Let's get Pedro Gonçalves in, just because he offers that attacking threat there. So that's 19 million remaining with 4 berths to fill with my UCL Fantasy Matchday 1 draft. In terms of the defence now, one player that I had in mind, definitely fixture proof, has got the attacking prowess, and yeah, he's super highly owned. More than half of UCL Fantasy managers own him. It's Hakimi. I know the fixtures get trickier after Matchday 1. I'm not going to double up with Mendes and all sorts with the PSG defence, but I've got to get him in alongside Dumfries. Both offer really great attacking prowess. And just incidentally, if we sort it by percentage, Mendes is the second highest owned defender. And you've got Van Dijk, interestingly enough, got Koundé, Gabriel, Calafiori as well. I did consider getting an Arsenal defender, and if I was to get one, it would be Calafiori, £4.5 million in UCL Fantasy. Absolute steal, but the players that I've got in mind, I probably haven't got an extra $500,000 to get him in. So coming on to my next defender, and I'm going to go to Sporting once again. And if I just go to them right now, this is more of an obscure pick, and I'm pretty certain his ownership isn't even 1%. So let's apply the filter and just look at the higher owned defenders. You can see there aren't that many, well, barely 1% there. So you got, Debast, Giovanni, but the one I'm looking to get, you got Freshneda as well, but could be a potential rotation risk. If I can just find the one that I want to get. There he is. Not sure why he wasn't appearing on my list. So yeah, it's Ricardo Mangas. Now with Ricardo Mangas, surprising, I hadn't heard of him, I won't lie to you, until looking at other options in Sporting. Scored 2 goals in 5 games this season, and he's chipped in with goals every now and then with his previous clubs. And again, very reasonable opening fixture. So in he comes at that price point. And yeah, owned by literally no one. I'm not sure why he doesn't appear on that list. Maybe I haven't gone all the way down, so apologies there. Yeah, I did go down and he's not appearing. How odd. So that's 8.5 million for the final 2 backline spots. And I definitely want to get Benfica cover as well, because Sporting, obviously, in that first fixture, they are facing off against Kairat, and then Trubin of Benfica facing off against Karabakh. And now, those fixtures, when inversed, are considerably more trickier than when they have to basically be played at Benfica and Sporting respectively. So just makes sense. If I'm going to target those teams, this is the time to do it, and not when it's an away trip. So the other player that I've got in mind, I'm going to go to Benfica. An option could have been Otamendi, but I think Otamendi's like £5 million, probably way off the price point that I had in mind. But let's just go to Benfica. The player that I had in mind, he was 4.0 last season, and I'm pretty certain he's 4.0 once again. So if I sort it by percentage, it'll probably come up. Still got Sporting selected as well. My apologies. Let's just deselect Sporting and he'll definitely come up. There he is. So yeah, Araujo, £4 million. I know that sometimes he gets substituted early, but it doesn't really matter in the context of my draft here. Plays the first match, and I've got Trubin to cover from Benfica anyway. So that leaves me with £4.5 million for a goalkeeper. And I'm actually not going to spend all of my budget for a goalkeeper. I'm actually going to pick a 4.0 goalkeeper. If I just deselect Benfica here as well. The 4.0 goalkeeper that I've got in mind, if I can just limit this here, there we go. Should be one of the higher picks. Oh, only 4% owned, that's a surprise. That's Sherpen off USG. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, USG, just some random Belgian club. Well, Sherpen actually has played 4 matches this season. He's kept 4 clean sheets, and USG are top of the Belgium league. Probably doesn't say a lot about the Belgium league, but I think he basically could be an interesting pick. And it's not to say that USG are going to get through to the next phase. I highly doubt it, but I think the fixtures that they will have could be very, well, the teams that face them could face some challenges. So Newcastle at home, you'd expect Newcastle to win. Inter Milan, so I beg your pardon, Newcastle are the away team, Inter Milan are the away team. You've got Atletico, Galatasaray, and Marseille. So probably won't win any of them. But I've just realised, actually, I can't get Sherpen in because both Sherpen and Trubin, they play on the same day, so I actually need to change that. My apologies. So I'll get rid of Trubin because I've got Araujo. And in fact, let's just get Trubin back in. I'll probably have to pick a 4.5 million goalkeeper. And looking at the options that are available, let's get it here. Got Chevalier, but I don't want to double with PSG in the back. So got Garcia of Barcelona, could be an interesting pick. Got Di Gregorio, I think they've got tricky fixtures. Got Sherpen again, but can't pick him because then I haven't got that rotation for goalkeepers. Let's just check Garcia. Plays on the 18th. Not expecting a clean sheet for him in that match against Newcastle United, but there aren't really that many other options and haven't really got any defensive Barca cover. Having said that, you look at Barcelona's fixtures, they go to Newcastle United, go to PSG, and then host PSG, Olympiacos, got Bruges, Chelsea, and Frankfurt. That is a very mixed bag for them. But for the purpose of having just rotating goalkeepers, I think Garcia makes sense. And I know with Garcia in particular this season, he's played 4 matches, he's kept 2 clean sheets. Again, that's not the reason why I'm having him, just got him as a budget option. And there we go. So let's just review the transfers. Look at them like for like, side by side for this final draft. So Dembele out, Luis Suarez in. Again, no real comparison in terms of pedigree with Dembele, but Luis Suarez has got the easy fixture. I can unlock funds. Reinders for Rafinha, attacking upgrade. Palhinha to Mohamed Salah, attacking upgrade. Alexander-Arnold to Hakimi, a like for like, albeit more safer mins and attacking potential with Hakimi. Porro for Mangas. Mangas is a bit of a differential, but I think could surprise many UCL fantasy managers. Chevalier goes out for Garcia because I don't want to double on PSG. In defence, Fresneda for Araujo because I think Fresneda's become a rotation risk. And then also I've got Mangas. Yamal's gone for Gonçalves. No doubt I'll be getting Yamal in at some point in the future, in the weeks ahead. And then you've got Isak who goes out for Mbappe. And I'll sort this by date. So let's get the players who play on the 16th onto the pitch. So let's just confirm this by date. So Mangas goes out, get Araujo in, and Mbappe comes in, and Luis Suarez goes out. And just going further back. So you've got Luis Suarez, Gonçalves, so basically a Sporting bench, and then Barcelona goalkeeper. So what I'll be doing is my captain for match day 1, the first captain will be Mbappe, confirming that there. If it goes wrong, probably pick Mohamed Salah, and if that goes wrong, I'll probably pick Rafinha. Let's just hit the save button or confirm button. There we go. So yeah, that is my locked in draft for match day 1. Important caveats as always that if there is some last minute news, then no doubt I'll basically make amends accordingly, and I'll probably put the updates in my YouTube comments. But I feel here got some nice balance, targeting those early fixtures. I'll be using my chips relatively early as well, and just looking at the players here, a lot of these players are playing at home. I think the only exception is Dumfries and Garcia. So keen to hear your thoughts on this team. Have I got the balance right? Have I got the balance wrong? Are there any clear misses that I basically have disregarded? And as always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best.